Hello, I'm Cory Malley, vocal landowner. I don't want the lake, my neighbors don't want it either. It turns out that we also don't want to join your city. The last city council seemed to think that they were entitled to take our land simply because they had a big idea. I hope that this new council with many new members feels differently. If this new council does decide to move forward, I will be describing the project as the act of a shrinking municipality trying to shore up its finances by strong-arming local farmers and homeowners. I will be calling it a gamble and comparing it to a string of earlier projects that have yet to bear fruit. I will be loud and I will be effective. Do you think my story will be believed? Do you think that I believe it? I can say that my neighbors don't want it either because I've asked them. I'm not claiming to have spoken to everyone in the affected area, but I suspect that I have contact with a majority of them through our email group and walking and knocking on doors. I learned a lot of interesting things when I spoke to neighbors in person. The conversations went something like this. I would introduce myself. I would say I was opposing the expansion project. They would respond that they were also opposed. There were two exceptions, older gentlemen who said they did not expect to be around long enough for the city to accomplish the project. Every single other person went on to explain that they did not want to be forced into being a Galesburg citizen. Every one. They went on to tell me that regulations from Galesburg had prompted them to build or buy in the county, not the city. Next was not wanting to pay Galesburg taxes. Conversations would veer off in different directions from there, but first regulations and second taxes were always volunteered by each person. We started organizing to oppose this expansion last fall. We were harvesting and our neighbor called and asked if we were listening to the city council meeting. He went on to tell us that the city had done a study into flooding our valley and that there was a far enough along that one of the councilmen was talking about buying a boat to use on our property. He even described what kind of boat in detail. Needless to say, it was time for action. I had hoped that when the previous council received the letter from our attorneys, they would realize that we do not want the lake. The first contact was only from the Malley, Flacco, and Thompson families. We owned the majority of the flooded acres, and we are trying to act quickly to stop this unwanted intrusion into our lives and farms. We are still completely prepared to take all legal actions possible to stop, slow down, or add expense to this project. I spoke to the previous council shortly after they had received our letter when it looked like they were going to try to proceed in spite of our objections. I told them that we would not be giving in and we would not be alone. Our group opposing the lake expansion has grown a lot. Earlier, I mentioned that I had learned interesting things when I spoke to my neighbors. Several were talking about Councilman Hicks like they knew him. Then I learned that he was spending a lot of time in the area. I was surprised. I thought he lived in town. I was told that his mother-in-law lived on a small acreage just uphill from where the proposed lake would be. I know the family. They are good neighbors. Councilman Hicks has been staying in the house so his wife can care for her mother. You can see our valley right out the window of the house. You could look out the window and imagine a beautiful crescent of lake water with the sun rising above it. You could imagine a sleek boat bobbing gently at a dock, or perhaps a whole marina of boats, just steps from that window. You could think about how to use your council position to get rid of the cows, horses, crops, wildlife, and trees that stand between you and your dream of being a boat captain. You could make a lot of money. The first thing that could stop you would be the pesky farmers and landowners. Well, Captain Brad, the pesky farmers and landowners are here. We are together, we know of your plans, and we have plans of our own, and we brought friends. Thank you.